Hey guys, today, this is part 7 in my video, and this time I'm talking about cuboids. So, let's start with the lowest level one. This is my 3x3x1. It is not a super floppy one like the Okamoto cube, so you cannot turn one layer up and then turn the next layer over. You have to do 180 degrees on all of these turns. I believe this is the QJ brand, and it's okay. I mean, this puzzle is honestly not that much of a challenge. I think there's only like a couple dozen possible permutations. So anyone just turning it will be able to solve it. The turning quality is not bad. It's very floppy, hence the name the floppy cube. It's just, you'll be holding it and it'll just want to like flop. It's not very sturdy. But it sort of does click into place, which is good because you can only turn these one way. One thing that's really neat to notice is because this piece, let me turn on the yellow side so you can see the pieces better. Because this piece still has to stay in contact with the internal mechanism when you turn it up, if you look really closely, you see how the cap on the centerpiece builds up to that. That little tiny spot where that piece bends up is enough room to allow the connecting piece from this to go down into the center mechanism. But yeah, this puzzle, I mean, it's a neat thing to have. It's not going to give you much of a challenge. It's super easy to solve. And literally anyone will be able to solve it with just a couple few seconds of fiddling around with it, but it's kind of neat. Next up is my QJ 3x3x2. Now this one is a good deal of fun. This one came out as the Rubik's Domino, I believe, when it originally came out, but this is a knockoff, a modern version. This one's the same. It is fully functional, but it's a 3x3x2. This one is pretty fun. It does not take long to solve, but it is a challenge. You have to figure out how to solve it. You have to learn sort of new ways of thinking about it and new algorithms because it's not a 3x3. This one, you don't need any real methods. You can just solve it. But this one, you have to figure it out. So that's fun. The quality is pretty good. The turns are pretty smooth. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be speed cubing with this, really, but it's a pretty well-constructed, well-put-together puzzle. And yeah, I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun to solve, too, whipping the odd layers around and stuff. I really love cuboids in general. But the neat thing about these two is these are the building blocks to solve all three of these puzzles, and you even use the knowing how to solve these for these three back here. So if you want to get into cuboids, you have to learn these. Again, there's not much to learn with this one, but this one you really need to learn, and these will both help you think about cuboids, and then you build on that with these later ones. So next up is my Cube for You 3x3x4. In terms of quality, this is one of my highest quality cuboid puzzles. It's fantastic. It's very springy, very snappy, and it's just super well designed and well put together. Out of the box, it was a little too loose. Pieces would pop often. It's still not super difficult to pop pieces out, but they don't often do it on their own. I still need to tighten up a little more, though. But it's super smooth, super easy to turn, and super light for any of the layers. Like, they're just great. And this is so much fun to solve. The way I solve it is you solve that middle 3x3x2 as a 3x3x2, and then you solve the top 3x3x2 as a 3x3x2, and then there is some parity you can get. There are specific algorithms. I solve it a little differently than most people, though, and I might make a video explaining how I solve cuboids, because I think it's a little different than how most people do, but I'm not sure. But regardless, this is a super high-quality puzzle. It's super fun. You can get it for like 12 bucks on Cube for You on Amazon or something. It's totally worth it. This is a great first cuboid. Well, these two are really the first ones you should get, but I feel like these aren't really serious puzzles. This is a great like stepping stone into getting into more complicated cuboids like these here. But yeah, you just need to know how to solve these two things and a 4x4 for the way I solve it. But it's super great, it's super fun, and again, the Cube for You one is super high quality. It's a little too loose out of the box, but it's not hard to take it apart and adjust the tensions, and I have not lubricated it, and it's fantastic. It's super light and super easy to turn, but it never overturns. It doesn't lock up. It's super forgiving. It can cut corners like a boss. This makes me really excited to get a QJ 3x3, which I don't have. But I really want one because this cuts corners just fantastically. Yeah, this is a really high quality puzzle, so I highly recommend it. Next up in my Cuboids is my Whit Eden 3x3x7. Now again, this is also a very, very high quality puzzle. It has a little different feel than the QJ or the Cube for You one though. This is not very loose. It's sort of like an Ishin, how it feels like very like strictly put together and held in place. But it is a little more forgiving than an Ishin. It will cut corners a little bit more. One thing that's fun to do is to align each layer off by like a millimeter and then see if it can cut all of that. Sometimes you can get one or two of the layers a little too much down and it won't cut it, but that's just fun to do. But this one's great. And again, you really just need to know how to solve a 3x3x2 to solve this. It's not exactly that. You use some other, I use some 4x4 and 5x5 algorithms on it too, but mostly that's how you solve it. But this one's super high quality puzzle considering how odd shaped those layers are. I mean, that's a whole lot sticking up there. Almost a full, in fact, I think it is a full layer sticks up above it because the top pieces are the same size as a standard 3x3. But each layer, the layers are such that four of these layers is the same as a 3x3. So if you line them up, you can turn those top two right over it. But, so when you do turn it this way, it's a 3x3 high, and then one more QB on the top and the bottom. But regardless, you don't really care about the exact proportions of it. One thing that I don't like about this is that I really like fully proportional cuboids. I like my cuboids to have QBs the exact same size as a 3x3. Unfortunately, this one doesn't. It's not cubic like my 3x3x7, but it's not fully proportional. Again, the layers are a little bit squashed. So I would really like a 3x3x6 that was fully proportional. I realized it would be a little bit higher. It would end up being, well, okay, so a significant amount higher because it would be that high. So it would be another third taller than this. And I'm okay with that though. I realize it'd be bulky, it'd be huge, it'd be hard to hold on to, but I really like proportional puzzles. But other than that, this is great. It's super high quality. All the layers turn awesomely, and it's such a fun puzzle to solve because you whip around these big long layers and you snap the little layers into place, and it's just a lot of fun. It's super high quality. I recommend the Whit Eden 3x3x6 to anybody. Next up is my Cube for You 3x3x7. Now this is what I'm talking about with a cubic puzzle. If you look, it is 7 layers, but it's squashed so that it's the same size as a 3x3. So each of these layers is 1/3 of a normal layer. Now, I realize a 3x3x7 would be ridiculous if it were proportional, but it would be shape-shifting, which is neat. Shape-shifting puzzles are awesome, and I'll get to that in a second with this one. But I wish I had a 3x3x7 that were fully proportional. I realize it would be impractical and inconvenient, and I realize why they did the cubic one, but I still think it would be neat. But this one operates just like a 3x3x7. There's no difference functionality. The other one would shapeshift. This one doesn't because the pieces are smaller. But yeah, all the layers are fully functional. And this also is a really high quality puzzle, especially with such small layers. Like the layers never lock up. They never get out of alignment. They never pop on me. I mean, it's really a very, very well designed, high quality puzzle. Anything that I've seen by Cube for You is great. I mean, I only have a couple things by them, but they're both awesome. And yeah, it's not quite as springy and light as my 3x3x4, but it's definitely very smooth and very light, and it's very easy to turn. And again, something that has such small layers that does not lock up or get out of alignment at all is awesome and really high quality and really good. And as far as solving this one goes, again, you really need to only know, you really only need to know how to solve these two puzzles, and then there's a little bit of weirdness at the end that I use 5x5 algorithms for. Yeah, so it's really not bad. But it's a fun cuboid. It is kind of neat that it is cubic because it looks weird when it's fully scrambled, but I wish I had one that was fully proportional. The next cuboid I'm going to talk about is my Rubik's Tower. Now this is a Rubik's brand puzzle. It is a 2x2x4. The quality is not, it's really high quality, but you're not going to speed solve with it. It's very stiff turning. Like it's very well held together and it's very smooth, but it requires a lot of force. And the layers do have a clicking mechanism, especially with the end layers and the side and the long layers. Yeah, those sort of click into place. Oh, pardon me, guys. I'm sorry about that. It doesn't really cut corners at all, and it does sort of have to be lined up perfectly to turn. But the turning is very smooth. It's very held together. I don't feel like this is going to pop or break on me. So it's a pretty high quality puzzle. But the neatest thing about this is that it shapeshifts. Yeah. Now that's what a fully proportional 3x3x7 could do. But this one is fully proportional and it does shapeshift. But this is a lot of fun. It can be kind of hard to find. I managed to find this one from Cube Depot though. So they do have it if you're looking for it. Cube Depot has it. And it's really pricey though. I feel like when I bought mine it was like $22 for a little 2x2x4. I feel like now it's gone down in price, but watch out because it can still get kind of pricey. But this is a really fun cuboid, especially because it shapeshifts. It's not super difficult though. Yeah, I recommend anyone that really likes cuboids to get this. It's a lot of fun. Alright, next up, and lastly for my cuboids, are my two IE puzzles. Now, I've just gotten these recently. I got the 4x4x5 and the 5x5x4. These are both great. This one I got as a DIY kit. This feels very light and the puzzle itself, like the plastic feels very light, very brittle, very thin, sharp edges, like all those additives, you know. So it turns really smoothly, there's not a lot of friction. It feels like it's going to get locked up a lot, but it doesn't really. And a lot of that could just be my tensioning and assembly job. I'm not the best tensioner in the world. But it's a very high quality puzzle, and it's very well designed considering how complicated this would be. It's so much fun to solve too. It really threw me for a loop. There was only one new algorithm I needed to learn for it, but it's just, it's like going from a 3x3, because all of these are basically just, again, iterations of these two puzzles. So it's like doing a 3x3, just more of them. But this, just like going from a 3x3 to a 4x4, this one introduces quite a lot more stuff to it. It's also just neat having the higher order cuboid, like a 4x4x5 instead of a 3x3x4, having a big one like this. But it's tons of fun to solve, and anyone that's into cuboids, I would highly recommend this to. It's a really interesting puzzle, and it's really high quality, and IE did a great job. And the same goes for this one. Now this one's a little different, whereas this one feels very hard and dry and rigid. This one feels sort of soft and squishy. So there's a little more friction in between the layers on this one, and again, that might just be my tensioning job. And, you know, this one came assembled, this was a DIY, but it's a very well-turning puzzle. It doesn't lock up, it doesn't pop. It feels really weird in my hands, because normally the cuboids are sort of like towers. They're square on the bottom and top, and then are taller than they are wide. This is the opposite. It's square on the bottom and top, but it's wider than it is tall. It's only 4 high, but it's 5 across. So that's sort of like this, or this, but cuboids are usually more tower-like and less like a hamburger shape. But this one's really neat to solve. It's really fun to solve. I found this one a little bit easier than this one. I didn't have to learn anything new for this one, really. I figured it out on my own, whereas this one I had to look up some stuff. But I did learn this one first, so it might be that this one helped me think about how to solve this one. But I feel like this might be easier. But it's just so odd having such a big cuboid puzzle in your hands. Because, you know, it's 5 layers in 2 dimensions, so it feels huge. It's fully one more layer than the 4x4x5. It's like they took a 4x4x5 and added another layer on here. But this is, again, super high quality. All the turns are great. It turns smoothly. It just requires a little bit more force than this one does to turn. So it's a little harder to do finger tricks on, but you can still solve it with finger tricks. I always do. And the turning is great. It's just a very fun, very well-designed puzzle. So if you're into cuboids, I recommend all of these. They're all a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. The next video is going to be on shape modifications.